Good evening. Thank you for joining us. This is the Marion City Council meeting for Thursday, June 18th, 2026. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Roll call, please.
Mr. Miskman,
Here.
Mr. Uniman, Mr. Jensen,
Here.
Mayor Abu
Present.
Mr. Brandt, Ms. Menser, here, Mr. Harper.
Here. Thank you. This time we have a moment of silence. Thank you. First item on the agenda is a proclamation. And we don't have anyone in particular to accept it, so I'm just going to read the proclamation and we'll read it again at the Fireworks and Fireflies event on July 3rd. This proclamation is in celebration of the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Whereas on July 4th, 2026, the United States will celebrate the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence and the founding of our nation. And whereas this anniversary, the semi-quincentennial of the United States of America, provides an opportunity to unite as a community, recognize the privilege we have to be Americans, and reflect on our shared history and the principles expressed in that founding document, including equality, inherent rights, and the opportunity for all people to thrive. And whereas communities across the country are commemorating this milestone in ways that honor the diverse experiences, voices, and contributions that shaped our nation. And whereas the city of Marion proudly celebrates this historic anniversary and encourages all residents to honor it with gratitude, reflection, and renewed dedication to the continual pursuit of a more perfect union. Now, therefore, I, Nicholas Abu-Asili, Mayor of the city of Marion, Iowa, do hereby proclaim the year 2026 as the year of celebrating America's semi-quincentennial in the city of Marion. I encourage all residents, businesses, schools, and civic organizations to join in recognizing this milestone by participating in the city's month-long celebration, including floral displays, patriotic decor, and special events, and by reflecting on the values that strengthen and unite us. And I do encourage everyone to participate in all the various ways that the city of Marion is going to be celebrating this milestone. And not only in this month or in July, but throughout, I think, through the fall, through the parade and various events. So, okay. Next item is our first public forum, which is a time to address council on any topic that is listed on the agenda but are not associated with the public hearing. If anyone wishes to make comments on a public hearing item, there will be time during the public hearing. If anyone has questions or comments on any other topic that is not on the agenda, there will be time at the end of the meeting for those. At this time, we have the public forum for comments on items that are on the agenda but not part of a public hearing. Before we proceed, I want to review the public forum rules of procedure. Anyone wishing to address council should please take one of the yellow cards at the end of the table near the door, complete that, and hand it to the clerk before you speak. When you're called up to the podium, please stand up to the podium and speak into the microphone as the meetings are recorded. Do not approach the dais where the council is sitting. Please, if you have any handouts, please submit them to the clerk for distribution to the council. Please state your name and address if possible, and any affiliation with any group. All persons wishing to speak will have a maximum of 5 minutes to make your comments. Please do not engage in conduct or speech that is imminently threatening to any person, which incites violence or which is obscene. Please refrain from making any disparaging remarks regarding any individual person, but keep comments pertinent to the topic. Please avoid repeating comments or points that have been previously shared. Please do not engage in conduct that disrupts the orderly progress of the meeting or engage in speech or conduct which interferes with other people's ability to participate in the meeting. Failure to adhere to these guidelines or engaging in disruptive or speech or behavior will, after a warning, result in removal from the meeting. We appreciate everyone's cooperation in adhering to these guidelines. The public comment section is now open. I see we have someone ready to address council, so please proceed.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Ed Mulholland, 4740 Fairways Court in Marion. In the June 16th Gazette, an article by Grace Nealand was about Cedar Rapids wanting a full expansion of the landfill into the 2060s. For a few months now, Eric, Frank, and I have been communicating with you about modernizing the landfill to turn it into a waste to energy facility instead of just a waste facility. There have been two main themes in many of our messages. Number one, we believe it is viable, it can be done, and it's the right thing to do. Number two, if you agree with the first statement, as we hope you do, then this project must be driven by you, the leadership of Marion. It's obvious nobody else will. There are many people deeply involved in the fight to stop the landfill expansion going back to 2004. We put in time, effort, and money to do what we thought was in the best interest of Marion. The Marion City Council took the initiative along with its volunteer partners and fought tooth and nail. Why? Because we all believed it was the right thing to do. In one presentation to the council, I pointed out a March 23rd Gazette article with the headline, "Keep Iowa at Forefront of Energy and Innovation." And the author emphasized four words: innovation is not optional. I just want to make one point about what appears to be Cedar Rapids' reluctance toward turning the landfill into a waste to energy facility based upon their encouragement of innovation and technology in other fields. We look at what the city of Cedar Rapids has accomplished with the building of the two data centers. That is the epitome of innovation and technology. But think about the dichotomy of it. On one hand, you have Cedar Rapids with its brand new state-of-the-art innovative data centers, and on the other hand, wanting to continue to bury their waste when burying waste has been traced back to 3000 BC in Crete. It makes no sense to me. You're probably asking yourselves why three old guys are going to so much work to push this technology when they should be sitting at home in their rocking chairs. The answer is simple. Just like 20 years ago, we think it's in the best interest of Marion and actually in the best interest of Cedar Rapids and Lynn County, and it's the right thing to do. What drives us is the thought of our grandchildren, our great-grandkids still burying waste when it's totally unnecessary. This endeavor is now up to you. We hope you do the right thing. As Eric, Frank, and I continue to educate the public, however, I must ask, is anybody listening? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, seeing no one else coming forward, we will close this part of the meeting, proceed to the consent agenda.
Yes, Your Honor. I move to approve the consent agenda as follows. Items A1 through F1, resolutions 32878 through 320907.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda as presented, including items A1 through F1, resolutions 32878 through 32907. Discussion? All those in favor of approving the consent agenda as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion is approved. For the next section, I'll turn over the meeting to the Mayor Pro Tem.
Mayor Pro Tem, I move to approve the consent agenda with the mayor's abstention, including items A1 through E1, resolutions 32908 through 32910.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda with Mayor Abu Asali's abstention. Items A1 through E1, resolution numbers 32908 through 32910. Is there any discussion on these items? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda with Mayor Abu Asali's abstention, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The consent agenda is approved. We'll move on to the regular agenda. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to receive, file, and refer to Traffic Advisory Committee a request for parking near the Marion YMCA.
Second.
Moved and seconded to receive, file, and refer to Traffic Advisory Committee a request for parking near the Marion YMCA. Discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. The
And
motion,
please note my abstention.
okay. So the motion is approved with Councilmember Mentzer's abstention from voting.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 32911, reaffirming the City of Marion's commitment to the February 2026 Memorandum of Understanding and encouraging completion of the remaining steps necessary to implement a long-term regional solid waste solution.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 32911, reaffirming the City of Marion's commitment to the February 2026 Memorandum of Understanding and encouraging completion of the remaining steps necessary to implement a long-term regional solid waste solution. Discussion?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
One of the, Mr. Mulholland asked us, has anybody been listening to the concerns that have been expressed over time relative to this matter? One of the things that our affirmation of our memorandum of understanding does is it helps to set forward and put in place a revised governance structure for the landfill so that the very concerns that they have expressed repetitively to our council can be attacked under the auspices of that authoritative governing board. Secondly, because some of the more technological solutions that we may be able to take advantage of in the future require considerations that are going to necessitate legislative action at the state level. And that legislative action would necessarily be accomplished through the cooperative work with other landfills in the state that are facing the very same issue. So I think that our affirmation of this memorandum of understanding prepositions us to get at fundamentally the root cause of the concerns that have been expressed to us over the last many months.
Anyone else? Yeah, I will just add my comments. It took a long time and a lot of work to get to the memorandum of understanding that has been approved by both the cities of Cedar Rapids and Marion, Lynn County, and the Solid Waste Agency. And Marion is committed to continuing and implementing the directives of that memorandum of understanding. We believe it is the right direction in putting forward a revised governance structure that is more proactive and more inclusive of the communities in this in the county, and that it is more more likely to lead to the solutions, long-term solutions that we all want in terms of voice handling in this region. And I'm really proud of the work that went into getting to this point that has been done by several of our council members, our city manager, partners in the region. A lot of time and effort has gone into it. And this resolution reaffirms our commitment to that, to the principles in the MOU, as well as the directives and the objectives that are set forth in it. I guess that's it. Anyone else have anything else to say? Okay. All those in favor of approving resolution number 32911, reaffirming the city's commitment to the February 2026 Memorandum of Understanding and encouraging completion of the remaining steps necessary to implement the long-term regional solid waste solutions, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. The motion is approved. Next item is a public comment period regarding the supplemental memorandum for Smithland Drive reconstruction project. Before we open the public hearing, do we have a presentation?
We actually have the presentation for right after this. I mean, if you want us to go high level, we can, but.
Okay, so yeah, why don't you just do a little synopsis if you don't mind? Just for purposes of the public and what we're voting on,
Sure.
or what we're taking up here.
Yep. So high level, Smithland Drive is an existing county subdivision that was annexed some time ago. It's a current chip seal road. There are 4 services that are long services circled in red there. Because the septics don't necessarily have failed, but the new standards when you sell a house, they don't technically meet PERC standards. And so staff has gone through iterations of different scenarios of that. Ultimately, there's 3 main options and then some sub-options of option C that have been presented, with option A being the proposed solution. So we'll let the public present, and then we can have Greg give a more detailed synopsis.
Okay. If anyone is here to address council on this topic, please come forward.
Mayor and Council, Jerry Depenning, 5408 Smithland Drive, Marion. At one time, we lived in Lynn County for 30-some years. Somehow involuntarily, the city decided to annex us into the city and have all kinds of different requirements that we do not appreciate. We've lived there and had no problems at all. We cared for the road, except for the city has neglected our road for the last 3 or 4 or 5 years. It's what I've lived on roads as a kid that were smoother than our road. And I won't go any further with that, but it's just ridiculous. I'm sorry. We have, like I said, we've lived there and we've maintained the road up for what, 30-some years? And we had no problems. And as far as we want to maintain and keep it as a dead-end road, it is over the 600 feet that the city has developed some kind of a requirement that they can't be longer than 600 feet. We've had no problems. We've had fire truck come in there and visit the other day. There wasn't a fire, but I think they're driving around. There's access, no problem getting in and out of the road at all. We have a lot of issues with the school being built up there. You have 2 schools on the end of a dead-end road. You have all kinds of houses built on the ends of dead-end roads that won't be developed for years unless the city buys the farm or some developer buys the farms. So us being on a dead-end road makes no difference. I've never felt unsafe. We take care of everything ourselves. And I would appreciate if the council would consider the feelings of the people that live on the road. I'm not the only one, all 10 of us that live there. We have 1 house per acre, whereas north of us of the east-west road, there's 3 to 4 houses per acre. So the intensity is not anywhere near what it is up north. And I don't see where there's any reason why we have to have the road go through. That's the reason we bought there. It was a gravel road when we got there. We chip sealed it, paid for it, maintained it, removed the snow, did all that. And now we have the city and we get to help pay for that. My taxes have almost doubled from what I was paying before after I got into the city. What did I get? Look at the road. And nothing's different than what it was before. We could take care of the road ourselves. That's all I have to say. And I would appreciate it if council would take consideration that we lived there for 50 years on a dead-end road. That's why we bought, and that's why everyone else has bought on the dead-end road. We do not appreciate having traffic go through. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'm Patty Sassine. I live on the end, 5305 Smithland Drive. So right where the turnaround is. I understand part of it has been safety with police and fire, but you have to look at our street. We all park in our yards. There's not a car parked on there. There's not much traffic. So if police or fire have to come down, they have the whole street to maneuver on and work around, which is not true for many parts of Marion. You have just drove down a street that's narrower than ours and cars parking on both sides of the street. But you get the whole street for those emergencies. And there aren't many emergencies. We're not going to have a car accident because there's not the traffic. You put traffic down our street and you increase the risk of accidents, especially with pedestrians. We have lots of walkers. I know it was mentioned in here that didn't want to put in a sidewalk because it would force people to cross Echo Hill. The majority of people walking on our street or biking on our street already cross Echo Hill. They're going to the park. They are going to the school. This is the way kids walk to school. They're not just coming from north of Echo Hill, right north of us. They are also coming from the other side of Alburnett Road and walking down our street because there is no sidewalk all the way down Alburnett Road to the school. So they're coming over to our street and walking down. And it would be very unsafe at that corner to throw in another direction that people have to watch turning traffic, especially kids when they're going to school. And not just concerns for their safety, but you're going to start discouraging kids from walking to school. That's I think an important exercise for them when the weather's nice. They use it all summer. People are going to the park, bikers, families, strollers. And if you put the street through and there's more traffic, I think that's a danger for them. They will also, those kids going to school especially, will have that to meet that same traffic in Oak Park when they cross the street there to get to the school. So they'll get it at both ends. Oak Park doesn't have that much traffic either. They only park on one side of the street, so it's perfectly easy to maneuver around with emergency vehicles and fire, and I've witnessed that. It's easier than most streets. So putting this through is trying to solve another problem for some other area. Go fix that. We were told the city doesn't do asphalt anymore. We have a section on a road that has asphalt, and it has held up with the amount of traffic that we have. And I see asphalt all over town. 12th Street was just done. So I'm not sure why we have to have all of this extra and put the street through. I'm at the end. I mentioned last time I'm concerned about drainage. It's going to back up more in my yard. What I
1 minute remaining.
didn't realize is on Oak Park Circle, right across my fence that I don't see, there's this whole drainage system with the big drains. It's a few feet from my corner. I don't understand why there's not a drain on my side of the street to get that water out of there instead of backing it up. I also don't understand why it's a few feet from the school and they're not connected to it, so it's not running through our neighborhood at all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Justin Amble. I live on 5450 Smithland. I'm not really excited about the whole through road. I have little kids that learn to bike on that road, and just the amount of traffic that's going to be going through there if we make it a through road. And I don't think the sidewalk's going to solve a lot of things. For me, like if it was a through road and just had the construction barrier, we don't have to build the sidewalk. They didn't have that as an option like D, but I'm just more worried about the safety of my kids on the road. So that's about it.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, Jake Lappy. Live on the road as well, 5316. I know most of you guys have kids here or have had kids in the past. I guess I want to appeal to the emotional side of things, right? You pick a house based on where the location of that house is. You buy a house on a dead end road thinking that your kids will have a great time growing up there, not being in danger of a car, right? You hear kids getting hit on the road all the time because they're not aware of what's going on in their surroundings. But in this area, on that road, as he alluded to, right, we teach kids how to ride bikes on that road. Kids play home run derby and the fence is over the road, right? So we have kids running back and forth collecting balls because we hit them over the road. After the snowplow comes through, right, there's a big pile of snow on the side of the road. We sled down that road or sled down that ditch into the yard, right? So we're constantly running around in there. And now our way of life that we've known for 15 years, I've lived there 15, 16 years now, is going to change based on putting the road through, right? So Jerry alluded to it a little bit, right? Take into account the residents that are going to have to live with that over and over and over again, right? Cars flying past there on their way to somewhere, right? That they just want to cut through. And the only reason why they have is because now they have a way to cut through or maybe cut off 30 seconds of their commute, right? It's very challenging for us to wrap our minds around why we think that we're trying to justify that this makes sense, right? In these proposals, you'll see a bunch of requirements listed that have been fabricated. Let's make sure we call it what it is, right? We're looking for ways to justify that this makes sense and spending this $1 million, right? On top of that, the proposal that we have doesn't address any of the storm sewer runoff that we currently have, right? So we're going to do something that's supposed to be up to speed, up to code with what we need within the city of Marion. And we're getting like a second class upgrade. the water already runs through all of our properties in the ditch. It's going to do that continuously, right? We're not going to put storm sewer down the sides of the road. Sidewalk that we think is needed if the road goes through, right? Sidewalk is not in the proposal. We're not going to have curbs, right? We're going to put something in there. We're going to do this brand new road and it's not going to have any curbs. How many roads that we put in the city of Marion that are brand new that don't have curbs? I can assure you there's probably not many of them, right? So we're talking about making all these adjustments because it doesn't fit the mold. Well, what we're going to put in isn't going to fit the mold. So is this really where we want to spend our money? And I've had this argument before or made this point before. Is this really where we need to do this? What do we as Smithland residents really gain jumping in and by this road going through, right? There's nothing that we are going to gain. Maybe the road gets a little better, but that can be done for fractions of what it's going to be cost to do this. And then lastly, again, the safety aspect is going to be, you're going to hear the safety aspect in a few minutes. And I would argue that the safety actually gets worse by putting this road through. And I think you'll see some of those same sorts of things that we've asked for. And I think option C was actually presented.
Minute remaining.
Option C was actually presented as a avenue of making it more safe. And that's not the recommended action. And quite frankly, I don't really even believe that it was all that closely looked at based on the packet that got sent out to us as residents. So again, I urge you guys to think of this not from a progress perspective of the city, but from who are the people that actually have to live with this? How is that going to impact them, right? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else to address council? We'll ask the staff if any comments were received outside the meeting.
We received one email in advance of the meeting from Rachel and Reed Schley at 5405 Smithland Drive. They wrote in opposition of the recommendation.
Mike, no comments outside the meeting to your department?
Just this one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Same one that Rachel's mentioning. Okay. We'll take one more call for comments from the public. Okay, we'll close the public comment section and proceed to the motion.
Yes, Your Honor, I move to receive and file the supplemental memorandum of 30% design regarding the Smithland Drive reconstruction project.
Second.
I moved and seconded to receive and file the supplemental memorandum regarding the Smithland Drive reconstruction project. Discussion on receiving and filing the memorandum. All those in favor of receiving and filing the memorandum, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. Okay, the motion is approved.
Mayor, I move to direct staff to proceed with the recommended design parameters regarding the Smithland Drive reconstruction project, including roadway reconstruction, utility extensions, connectivity to Oak Park Circle, and sidewalk deferral.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to direct staff to proceed with the recommended design parameters for Smithland Drive reconstruction project. This is when you do your presentation? Okay.
Yeah, we can open up with that. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I'm Greg Annis. I'm a project manager in the engineering division at Public Works. I'm here to provide a little bit more information on Smithland Drive and then hopefully look forward to receiving direction for the final design. Smithland Drive was presented and discussed earlier this year at council, so I'll just give a brief background and summary of where we're at in the design process. Smithland Drive is an older county subdivision, as Mike mentioned. It was annexed in 2015. It's currently deteriorated and needs improvement on the roadway, and we're looking at utility improvements as well. City staff were directed to look at the whole picture of Smithland Drive That information was summarized and presented to residents last winter, and then also presented to council earlier in January. At that last council meeting in January, residents, city council, and city staff discussed the options, and they agreed on a few topics. Some of these topics were the roadway section that we were proposing, the 24-foot wide PCC rural cross section that still utilizes the drainage ditches for stormwater. Extend water main from the south to hook and loop into Echo Hill Road. Extend sanitary sewer from the Stubbs Street on Oak Park Circle, and then connect Smithland Drive to Oak Park Circle at that time.
Did you say that was agreed upon by?
Oh, excuse me, I misspoke on that. The agreed were the roadway section and the utilities at that time. A few topics were
Including maintaining the storm sewer ditches, the ditches instead of storm sewer?
there were favorable votes on
The
that.
residents were favorable to that?
Council members.
Council members,
Yeah.
okay.
Sorry.
I just want to be clear
Yeah,
because I
sorry
thought
for
you said
misspeaking.
there was a meeting of the residents and,
Mhm.
okay.
And then at that council and at the public meetings, there were several topics that were voiced concerns on, and some of them tonight as well. Those topics were the sidewalk being included on this, and then the connection on the southern portion to Oak Park Circle. So city staff were directed at that time to research additional options, and more specifically, that connection on the south side, to kind of look into options that emergency personnel can still traverse over and provide access, but then still stop the daily flow of traffic from going from Oak Park Circle. We looked into a couple of different barrier options, and we felt like these mounted delineators were the most cost-effective and maintenance-friendly option for moving forward. They're used in neighboring communities for similar tasks. They can either be repaired a single post at a time or the entire strip of delineators. But when emergency vehicles do traverse over them, it can and has shown to cause damage to those vehicles. And then it also adds additional maintenance workload to city staff. Residents of other communities also noticed that their vehicles could travel over them as well, making them less effective and leading to more repairs as well. These barriers would also require a cul-de-sac for city staff to utilize to do the turnaround. The cul-de-sac on the right-hand side, labeled as option C, meets current design standards in terms of size, but violates the current planning code because it's distance from the roadway from Echo Hill Road. So that was considered option C. We derived 3 options in total. The option A on the left-hand side is the existing recommendation, and is, like we discussed, the 24-foot back-to-back concrete roadway that utilizes the storm sewer or storm ditches that are currently in place with culverts that go underneath the road. It provides full connectivity for emergency personnel to use so that they're most efficient to get to these calls. And then option B on the right-hand side is the same option, or considered the same as option A, but includes that sidewalk as well. Option C, that was shown on the previous slide with the cul-de-sac and barriers, was considered. And we also looked at it with a few modifications, including the sidewalk addition with and without, and then also the connection on the south side with and without. And those can be summarized on some of these numbers here. Without the sidewalk, it was estimated to be about 1.34 million. And then without the just the cul-de-sac, without the connection to the south, it was considered to be 1.42 million. Put some of those numbers into context, the current budget is 1.15 million. So after evaluating additional barriers in the roadway connections and stuff on the south side, engineering recommends moving forward with the original proposed design. The recommended option meets all current design standards and provides the greatest overall benefit to the community. It maintains full access for first responders, residents, and city operations. The design also supports connectivity within the network, helping residents, first responders, and city staff travel more efficiently throughout the area. From a financial perspective, the recommended option represents the best long-term value While some barrier options may have a lower initial construction cost, they can result in additional maintenance, operational, and vehicle-related impacts over the life of the roadway. When both short-term and long-term costs are considered, the recommended option is the most cost-effective solution. And then also at that time, we're still not recommending a sidewalk on Smithland Drive. The sidewalk would extend construction limits, requiring additional easements, construction time, and costs. There is currently no sidewalk on the south side of Echo Hill Road, so this sidewalk would also require that sidewalk on the south side of Echo Hill Road to provide a safe route to those nearby schools. The current sidewalk infrastructure provides safe routes from Oak Park Circle, from a trail on the east side that goes to school, and then on the north side of Echo Hill as well. With that information, engineering is seeking your guidance and decision to move forward with the final design on Smithland Drive. Thank you for your time, Mayor and Council. Are there any additional questions?
Go ahead, Grant.
So if we could go back just to the option A and B depictions, back a slide or two. Oh, one more, I think. Maybe that was it. I'm sorry. Go back to that one. So in the case of either of those options, effectively the existing turnaround will disappear.
That existing chip seal will be removed.
Okay. And then in option C, would that turnaround be maintained?
The cul-de-sac that's proposed, yeah, it would be maintained.
Yeah.
It'd be all paved. It wouldn't be chip seal anymore. So it would be enlarged to current design standards.
Okay.
I guess just to be clear, imagine it's a reconstruction, so none of the existing service would be there anymore. It
Right.
would be all new,
Okay.
if that's what you're trying to get at.
Sure. Don't we have experience with these mounted delineators over by Hy-Vee? Isn't that a location where?
Slightly different there. There is a raised median as well.
Okay.
So a couple locations, like next to Canes on First Avenue, the location that Cedar Rapids has them.
Okay. Have we had any maintenance experience with the ones that are over by Hy-Vee or over by the old Hames location?
Not there, because again, we do have a raised median, and then the delineators then are on top of that. So they would hit the curb first before they would hit the delineators.
Okay. All right, thank you.
A fire truck would not be able to navigate that.
Do you want questions or comments? Or we're going to be on this?
Well, this is the this discussion is going to be followed by a vote. So comments, questions, whatever you have.
I don't want to get ahead of it if we're going ahead.
Oh, no.
Okay, so I'm just going to back this up for anybody new to this conversation as well. Part of this is all being brought forward because we cannot just, under good conscience with the cost of redoing the road, just go in and redo the road, because this is also an area, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, Jake, that some are on well and septic, and some have the sewer line put in, and we risk, because if the county says that any of those septic systems go out, we then have to tear up part of the road to run sewer to that area. So that is part of the conundrum from the staff's perspective, is that we potentially would be doing a road and having to redo a road if we kind of only partially do it. On top of the fact, it's not up to standard for a city road. Correct? Okay. So that has led this whole part of this whole conversation. And I think frustration from the residents who want to just have their road fixed, a conflict with the city because we can't just fix the road because we're up against potential additional costs. If any of the sewer and septic goes down, that we have to run that, and we're going to have to put it in after a road has so many that are deemed non-efficient, then we have to put the well and septic in down the whole road, right? Or something.
Yeah, we do have a subdivision annexation policy that has not been adopted by city council that will be coming. This is kind of the guinea pig to brought that forward.
Yeah.
But that way, we have a lot of county subdivisions that we annexed in, so this is setting that standard.
Correct. So there's a whole lot on top of this particular issue that has led to, I feel like, it continuing to be discussed and back and forth in meetings and communications from the staff. I personally have I cannot go forward with A, just in the fact that I feel like I'm very aggressive about not putting in sidewalks, even to some of those that don't go anywhere with some of our developers, because I'm tired of I don't like gaps, but I also don't like all the waivers of I'll put it in later, and then we never know when that's going to happen, and then we have the gaps. So I'm with B or C. I understand that there is a trail that sidewalks kids could take up through Oak Park Circle, catch the trail, and then you're walking on that trail into the schools. I also know that people are like water and they're going to take the shortest and whatever they maneuver to at that time. We dealt with that with Safe Routes to School here in Marion. So I'd have to go with B or C. I just can't accept A, just because I just don't know where we would put in a neighborhood where we would say we're not going to have sidewalks. So if we have sidewalks, I'm more likely to say we don't need the barriers if we have sidewalks, but I also understand the neighborhood feel that comes with being on a dead end and then suddenly having that be a connection. So if we're just looking at whether or not we're going to take A and we're not going to accept or decide another option, I'm just saying I'm torn between B and C, but I do not like A.
Steve?
Yeah, I've got a couple of questions. One of the comments the gentleman made, Chief, is he said there is no problem with fire truck access. Can you comment on what he said?
As far as access to Smithland, I mean, we can come in off Echo Hill currently. There is an impedance. We would have to, if we're coming from the Oak Park Circle side, with the construction as is, we do not have access to traverse our apparatus across that direction. Now, if for whatever reason we did not have access off of Echo Hill, like in any case, we're going to do the best that we absolutely can. We're going to position as close as we can, and we will carry all of our equipment and do everything that's necessary to provide the services to our residents that need us, but there would be a delay. So in regards to access, there is access off Echo Hill when that access is available.
But if I understood his comment was the fire truck just recently went down that road, down Smithland, and had no problem getting in and out. So can a fire truck go down that road and make a turnaround as it currently exists?
We can get down the road and get out. I can't confirm that we can make the turnaround as a multiple point turn. That might be possible. That would be challenging with numerous apparatus. If there's a working structure fire, you would have numerous fire apparatus on that roadway, and that would be very difficult.
And the real question is, if Echo Hill is blocked for some reason, or the northern part of Smithland is blocked, what's the other way to get in? And that's the issue that the chief's talking about. Is if they had to, they would do what they can, but it's going to cause delay.
Well, we got that problem with lots of places in the city that just have cul-de-sacs. The challenge here is the current cul-de-sac at the end is not big enough for a proper turnaround.
As designed, it's not designed to current standards across the city. No.
Correct. So two other comments made. So as we go forward with whether it's plan A, B, or C, so are we still going to have, is this neighborhood still going to have drainage issues? Are we fixing the drainage issues, or the drainage issues as they are today are still going to be exactly the same?
Some of the culverts are undersized. We are removing and replacing those culverts with properly sized ones, but we still plan to utilize the existing ditch system with those culverts because of the road and how it's positioned so much higher. than the adjacent houses. Putting a traditional curb with storm intakes, you're kind of working against gravity at that point. You're not going to gather as much water into the roadway because of the position of how the road is so much higher, kind of like a typical county road.
And I guess, again, one gentleman made the comment that this road is not going to have any curbs, which is unusual for any new city road that I've ever seen. So are we making an exception to our city design standards because of this neighborhood?
No, so we do have others that we've done in this case before. Typically it is a retrofit like this, but if you think of like Rookwood, that's east of 13 north of 151. So Seacrest that we did, that has no curb and gutter on that section either. So it's not uncommon to do roads that, again, in this case, if the road was lower, right now the houses are actually lower than the road. So putting in curb and gutter doesn't benefit them a lot.
Okay. So one other comment I'll make similar to Sarah's is, again, same comment I made months ago when we were talking about this. Again, if I lived in that neighborhood, I would not want this road to go through. I completely understand that 100%. But if I look at it from a very long-term perspective on how I think it should be done, I think taking the road through makes sense to me. The delineators, I'm not a fan of, but I'm also not a fan of option A. I would not move forward with this without a sidewalk being put in, because again, if there's going to be traffic on that road. I don't know how much. Hopefully, most of it is coming from that north neighborhood or south neighborhood. But if you're going to have more traffic through there, the kids from that neighborhood and everybody south is going to be going to the school and walking down that street to get up to Echo Hill. And I know there's not a sidewalk there now, but they're going to be going down that road, and unless there's a sidewalk for them to walk down, I think that makes it more dangerous for anybody that lives in that neighborhood or anybody that's walking to the schools through that neighborhood. So if I were to pick A, B, or C as it sits here today, I would probably pick B, but I would not support A without sidewalks. To me, again, I've got the same concern on a going forward basis. How we take care of that in the future, we got to figure out, but I would only support B.
Gage?
Yeah, my views on this are consistent with what they were months ago when we talked about this. I think there's something to be said for the character of various neighborhoods. This is a really unique neighborhood when you look at what's surrounding it and you look at other parts of Marion. I think the lot sizes, the way the houses are laid out, are a little unique, a little bit more spread out, which gives me personally less concern to have a through road. If we were looking at houses right next to each other, like the newer neighborhoods next to them, I'd probably have a different opinion. But, you know, I'm all for modernizing and fixing their road, improving their drainage, the things that people want on their street. But just based off the uniqueness, the character, the personality of the neighborhood, I don't see a necessity of making it a through road. To be honest, you know, where I just moved to on A Ave is kind of an older version of this in a sense, because we have a loop right at the end, but I know that my part of the street was older, and at one point they were probably a dead end, I would guess. So I think about, you know, first thing I've noticed in this first week there are this beaters right down that road and people cutting through and making cutting through that neighborhood. I see with Albernet Road being right there in that roundabout, I see people cutting through that road in the future because they don't want to go through a roundabout, and this way is faster in their mind. So I think, you know, I lean more of the option C. I don't even know if the barrier piece of that is necessary. Yeah, I'm good with all the improvements. I don't mind if there's sidewalks there or not. But yeah, I'm not a fan of it going through.
Okay. Question, what's your response to Ms. Sassine's comment about the the impact on drainage in her yard.
So hers is a tough one because the school, the mouse shows up, yep. The school has a detention basin here, and then that water kind of drains and comes, it's either between these lots or these lots. So that's not necessarily gonna be fixed as part of this project.
But is the road gonna exacerbate that problem?
I don't,
We don't
if we're increasing the size of the culverts under it, we're gonna get them there faster, but without doing some kind of detention or something, you can't, like, we can't make that. So you would be buying one of the properties out and putting a detention basin in there if you truly wanted to fix that.
You know, this has been an issue or a topic of discussion ever since I've been on council. I believe it was one of the first things that came up when I met with the neighborhood way back when. I do have to say that it's disheartening, I think, to hear from people who basically are in the city to say, well, we never wanted to be annexed, but you are in the city and you, I'm hoping, you're enjoying the city's streets, the city's library, the city's aquatic center, the city's amenities, the city's parks. All of these things come as benefits of being in the city. But so this to say we don't need the city, I think it's a bit disheartening. The Iowa code doesn't allow an island in the middle of a city. So for a city to grow, and the city has grown all around you, all around this neighborhood, annexation becomes necessary. It's no one is trying to make anyone's life more difficult or to change the character of your lifestyle or your neighborhood. It's just a necessary thing if the city is going to continue growing and accommodating the growth, that the demand for growth and people who want to live here. And like I said, you know, the city eventually grew around this neighborhood, and it's part of the city. So to want to remain outside the city doesn't sound fair when you're using the streets, you're using all the amenities. And like I said, I hope you're enjoying all these wonderful amenities and services that the city provides. Having also, I understand the staff's perspective of if we're going to be improving a road, we want to do it the right way because of not having to have constant repair needs over time, to do it the right way and to do it as a street that meets standards. And I don't think it's reasonable to expect the city to build a private street for a neighborhood. I think if the city is going to make the investment, then the public should have use, the general public should have use of that street. Where I'm having a hard time is the fact that there are no sidewalks. And I do think that that's an issue. The safety of people. I do think that, you know, there's going to be more traffic, and the lack of sidewalks is my concern. So I don't support putting in the street without sidewalks. That's really where I end up.
Your Honor, a question.
Yes, sir.
I'll admit it's been a number of weeks since I've driven the street, but remind me, do both the east side and the west side of the street have open drainage ditches? And none of these options change that, correct? Okay. And do the culverts that are proposed at the south end of the street help to alleviate any backflow issues from any drainage that originates from the east of the subject properties? Does that improve drainage flow to the west?
So what's the size of the culverts today versus what you're putting in?
There's no culverts. I mean, there today, it's an open drainage ditch on the south side. So I won't say it impedes any of it. It's not going to improve the drainage. You're basically conveying the same amount of stormwater.
Okay. And then sort of backtracking a moment to the question of runoff from the street to either the east or west sides into the open drainage ditches. The problem with the curbs is then that would mitigate that flow laterally into those open ditches. Is that correct?
Yeah, so basically what we could do is if you installed curb and gutter, you could either put spots that don't have curb and gutter and then rip wrap it so that it would go down into the ditches at certain areas, or you'd basically have a ditch that's elevated higher than, it's all, because the houses dip down from the road. So you're building something way up in the air to catch water to keep it contained. So I don't know that it's going to benefit anything. It's just going to add cost.
So I decode that to mean to maintain the existing efficacy of the ditches as they drain water now, you don't want curbs.
I don't know that's going to gain you anything.
Yeah, that's, I think, the point I'm driving to.
Okay, any other comments? Yes, sir.
I don't know that we have a clear consensus on direction.
Right, and we are missing two council members who may have an opinion on this important topic. I'm wondering if we should table.
That's council's prerogative.
Yeah,
Go
ahead.
I think there's consensus that we're not favoring A, or is there a favor to
I think
A?
for the people here, there's that consensus, at least 4 people.
That we're kind of down to the options of B and C. So is there a way to say, if we're taking A off the table, that we're into are we going to go with B or C, or is there some other, I don't know if there's another option, but.
We can, I think the sidewalk question, the mayor had mentioned, I'd prefer sidewalks. I don't know if that's something that the council wants to talk about now, because then we can take off A, and then if we had some additional direction on the sidewalks, that would kind of clear it up. And then if council chooses to table it, we can bring it back with those refined numbers.
Okay,
Yeah.
Councilmember Harper.
So in one of the diagrams, it shows the sidewalk, if it were installed, would go along the east side of Smithland. Does that then alter any condition relative to the open drainage ditch on that side of the street?
It essentially just shifts it over further to the east.
The sidewalk would go further over to the east?
Yeah, you're going to build out that shoulder, basically, if you in the shoulder.
All right.
Just build that out further, and then it moves that ditch further.
So those, the open ditch and the sidewalk are independent of one another. Okay.
Okay. So do we have
Your Honor, I'll just state that at this point, I'm favoring C with the delineators, somewhat for what Gage had represented, also what Sarah has mentioned. But I think I think we are at a point, as you said, we have two council members absent. And I think we need to give them an opportunity to weigh in on this with the collection of facts that we have in order to make a fully informed decision.
Okay. Is anyone willing to make a motion to table?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to table the item directing staff to proceed with the recommended design parameters regarding the Smithland Drive reconstruction project.
Second.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Jensen, seconded by Councilmember Muskimin to table the motion. Any discussion on tabling? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion is approved. Next item is a public hearing on the regarding Public Works Site Improvement Plan. We have a presentation, Mike.
Yes, Your Honor. So our new facility out at 44th Street, this is the last segment of it. So what this is doing is it's removing those two topsoil piles that you see on the east side of the building. It's actually regrading around the detention basins to build them how they're supposed to be. And it's all the landscaping that needs to happen so that we meet the current planning design standards that we would make any other commercial entity put in. So it's just finishing that project and putting that final bow on. So putting it out to bid, Rachi Construction was the low bid at $319,689. That was only 58.5% of the engineer's estimate. Has a completion date of 11/30/26 and $500 per calendar day on liquidated damages. And we are recommending that we proceed with accepting the project and the bids.
Okay. Thank you. The public hearing is open. If anyone's here to address council on this measure, please come forward. Staff have received comments outside the meeting.
I have not received any.
I have not.
Okay, we'll close the public hearing. Proceed to the motion.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the project calendar regarding the Public Works Site Improvement Plan as follows. This is resolution numbers 32912 to 32913.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the project calendar for the Public Works Site Improvement Plan, including resolution 32912 and 32913. Discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. The motion is approved. Next item is a public hearing regarding Public Safety Training Center electrical package. It's got the presentation on that.
Yes, Your Honor. So if you recall, we previously bid this as a joint project of both the monument sign and the electrical package together. And at that time, we received no bids. So we worked with the fire department and determined that it would be best to split that out. So this is just for the electrical package. The monument package would be as a separate project. So in this case, the low bid came in from Justice Electric at $73,390, 66.87% of the engineer's estimate. Late start date of September 4th of 26 with 30 working days and $250 per day in damages if they go past that date. So we are recommending proceeding with the plans and the bids at this time.
Okay. The public hearing is now open. If anyone's here to address council, please come forward. Either in favor or in opposition, please come forward. Okay, we'll ask the staff if anyone's submitted comments outside the meeting.
I have not received any.
I have not.
Okay, please note that for the record. We'll close the public hearing. Proceed to the motion.
Yes, Your Honor. I move to approve project calendar regarding the Public Safety Training Center electrical package as follows. Resolution 32914 and 32915.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the project calendar for the Public Safety Training Center electrical package, including resolutions 32914 and 32915. Discussion. Just a point of information, I guess for my own information, Mike, when you say engineer's estimate, is that also the budgeted amount?
The
Or,
budget amount was actually more than that.
oh,
Yeah, the total project is, we are below the budgeted amount. Yes, on the total project.
okay. All right. Any other comments before we vote? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. Thank you. The motion is approved. Thanks, Mike. Next item is our second public forum, which is a time to address council on any topic. Anyone here to address council, please come forward.
Is it permissible to talk about the Road situation since
Sure.
I've lived there for 50 years? I would suggest, I have pictures of when the water flows through there, a lot of different storms. Just the other day, we had a 2-inch rain. And you see water building up on the neighbors on the east side and they're all on their property still. With the 2 schools that were built up, they supposedly doubled the size of the detention basins and all that stuff. And still water still comes down through there and builds up. And I'm not sure about 2 culverts handling it. That's why I mowed my neighbor's yard, Bill on the end, he passed away. Bill lived there for 30 some years.
Condolences.
I'm mowing his lawn, so I know what it is, but the water flows down through there. And the other day, I mean, it's just water streams this wide during the storm. And so the water issue is a big one. That's if you're going to put a road through there. Leave it open, just do the roundabout, make it, we wouldn't have to have a through road for whatever. And we've lived there, like I said, for 50 years and never felt worried about a fire truck getting there. They have gotten there. And I can't see why the road we'd have to have that expense to put the road through. And just make a nice roundabout. And the garbage trucks today come down. They have to drive up and back up once to go out. And that's no big issue. There's roads up on the north side of the east-west road. There's no roundabout. They must back up after they collect. There's no places for them to turn in a lot of those places. It'd be gravel and muddy. So I think we've got a pretty good situation for them the way it is right now, not alone redoing everything. That's only going to take me, $17,000. I'm 80 years old. I don't have the muscle I used to have to take care of the rock that's along my driveway. So I have to hire that done. Take it out, put it back. And all those things, it's going to cost a lot of money. I would say you could probably double the 17,000 time everything's all done. Putting sewer to the houses, because our septics are all in the rear yard. Our houses are already set back further in there because it was a different development at the time. So putting sewer around clear to the back, all the utilities are in the back. So it'd be a lot more expense involved. I figure 35,000 with everything. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? If you have comments that weren't already made in the first public hearing, you please make them now. But if you've already made the same comments previously, we've heard them. Thank you.
No. Culvert, he said they were replacing them all. I have the smallest one. I'm on the end. It does not get replaced.
Okay.
And everybody keeps telling me that the detention basin at the school was made bigger. I watched them move dirt in, and it's smaller. It's sloped to the north, and it's essentially a ditch. When I first moved there, water was held there. No water ever is there now. It goes through that ditch and directly through a tube that's at the bottom of the berm and straight into my neighbor's field. And it goes through those 2 yards and around the corner to my property at the end. And people keep thinking of it as a drainage ditch. It's my yard. It's not, it's something we maintain, and to have water sitting there, this is going to make it worse. That's all.
Thank you. Anyone else address council? Okay, we'll proceed to council comments. Right, anything?
Nothing from me, Your Honor.
Paige? Steve? Nope. I was going to continue with my history minute from last time. This is from this sort of some historical comments that are put in this little booklet that I got from the late Paul Draper. In the late 1800s, in 1867, a women's literary society was organized. This time they were taking pride in making Marion beautiful and better place to live. This club formed many committees, including the Cemetery League. The league plotted out the cemetery, selected a group to keep the cemetery weedless and mowed. Later, they turned it over to the city, which is our historic cemetery. The organization also staked out the area for a park on the other side of the creek. It was named Thomas Park in honor of Richard Thomas, a prominent resident many years. A dam was built on Indian Creek between 7th and 8th Avenues. The people built a mill on the dam so they could grind the farmers' grains. The merchants would buy the farmers' flour and sell it to the townspeople. Behind the mill was a large pond formed by the dam. In the winter, the pond would freeze solid and make a good place to skate. The first schoolhouse was built in 1841 at 7th Avenue and 14th Street. Later, there were many elementary schools built in different parts of town. The first 4-room schoolhouse was built of brick. It was free for anyone who wished to go to school. The first high school was built in 1855. Teachers taught students for free because they were considered township people. Later, the schools were declared the Marion Independent School District. We'll continue next time. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.